Alright, tonight we're going to do stuffed bell peppers. I picked these peppers up today. We actually saw this great big one here with a real flat bottom. I really like that. They help a lot when I'm grilling these. The menu tonight is going to be stuffed green peppers. We're going to stuff them with a seasoned beef. I'm going to start prep on the green peppers and the stuff to mix with the meat. Alright, so I went ahead and sped through the process of me cutting these up and making a nice mess here on the table. I do clean all the prep surfaces, but I do like to use my cutting board. Got these little cheap knives from IKEA. They're actually pretty decent. It's just a little 3-piece set. It's got this one, a slightly larger one, and then there's one even bigger than that. Not too bad. Soft steel, so doesn't hurt to run a steel on it every time you use them. I do that pretty much with any of these cheap knives that I get offline. But I went ahead and I cut up the onion, as you saw, cut the peppers up, took some of the meat out of them, some of the little stuff in there. Gives me a little bit more room for substance inside of these. You might have seen me wobbling these on the table. Well, when I throw them on the grill, I want them to sit pretty still. I don't want them to fall over every time I lift the lid, because that would just make a heck of a mess. So you saw I actually smoothed out 2 spots on this one here. The other 2, they sit pretty good. That one did get smoothed out a little bit. That one I left alone. The base is kind of narrow on that one, but whatever. It'll work. It'll hold my meat. And getting to the meat portion of it, I did cut up the onions. I'm going to cook those with the meat. I'm also going to season the meat with a little bit of onion powder, garlic salt. It's Lowry's garlic salt. It's starting to clump up a little bit. It's kind of humid out today. And then, of course, the old parsley flakes. I like to throw those in just for color. A little bit of flavor from them, but nothing crazy. So garlic salt and some onion powder. If I do end up putting anything different in the meat, I'll show that. I will be cooking the meat on the Blackstone today. Then once the meat is cooked and put into the peppers, we're going to fire up the old Z grill here with the pellets. The pellets I'm using are a Cuisinart. It's a Applewood whiskey blend. Showed that on my little short I did. Looking for recommendations for dinner. Didn't hear anything yet. Hoping to hear something in the future for recommendations. But tonight we're doing stuffed peppers. Alright, got ground beef is what I'm using today. I don't really know how lean this is. This is from a cow I get every year. It's usually a pretty decent blend. You're looking probably 80-85% lean on the ground. I never had it processed at this new place, but we're still testing her out. Alright, so we got the meat in the bowl here. We're gonna go ahead and start off just giving it a little bit of a taste of the onion powder. Don't want to get too crazy with this stuff, because a little bit goes a long way. See, I did throw a little bit in there. We are using onions too, so that's why I'm not gonna put too much of that in there. Garlic, salt, using it mainly for that salt portion of it, and I do like the mixture on this. Sure, she's pretty well coated. I like to flake it all over the top of the meat. Gives me kind of an idea how much I'm putting in there. It's not too much. It should give it enough flavor, and there's plenty of salt. And then of course our parsley flakes, we're gonna bump a little bit in there. You see there, same thing. Cover it, just speckle it up. And transferred my onions to this tray. I'll go ahead and throw about half of those in there and see how it looks. I'm gonna go ahead and just knead this stuff, mix it up with my hands here. Before I do that, I want to get paper towels. Alright, paper towel ready for myself here. Mix that up. This is going to stuff the peppers. I do like to cook it almost all the way through before stuffing it into peppers. That way the peppers don't take near as long to soften up and cook the meat inside. Let's say if you put the raw meat in with the peppers, your peppers will get real soft before the meat is actually cooked all the way through, and the grease doesn't puddle up near as bad when you cook it separate from the pepper. That's what I like to do. Drain it off a little bit, make it a little bit easier on your stomach. You're not getting as much of that fat, but you're still getting plenty of the flavor. So I did mix that up, half of that. So this is actually about a quarter onion and about a pound and a half of ground beef. Like I said, 80-85% lean. Parsley flakes, garlic salt, and a little bit of onion powder because I did add onions in it. Don't want to overdo it with that flavor. Alright, get the old Blackstone heating up. I did just have this on. Burn off some of the breakfast that I cooked on it the last time. If you look back in the videos, you can watch that one there. Alright, got her kicked on. She should be heating up pretty quick. While this is heating up, I'm actually going to jump over to the pellet grill, start preheating that. That way when I get the meat done and really close to being cooked all the way through, I can pull that meat, throw it in my peppers, and throw it directly on the grill. Does look like I will have to clean off the grates on that just a little bit. I like to wait until right before I cook to clean my grill grates, because this is all outside. It is undercover, but I still get fuzzies and tree pollen. So I'll clean it every time I cook on it. And like I said, I had just had this warmed up to cook off the breakfast from the previous video. And it's actually heating up quite nice. We'll go get the meat on here and start cooking that up. Came out of the bowl quite nice. Let's get a spatula here. Wipe off my spatula. Although it's clean, it's been out here in the elements. I'm gonna go ahead and speed this process up. No sense in you watching me do this entire thing here, or at least talk over it. So I'll speed it up and we'll get back to it when we're stuffing peppers. All right, that is cooked about how I like it. I don't know how well it's going to pick it up on the camera, but there is still some pink in this. It's still tender yet. You can see the grease that came off of it. All that grease, that won't make it into our peppers. So it helps out a little bit. You see all that? Like I said, it's 80-85% lean, so there is quite a bit of fat left over in this. And I didn't melt it all out because I didn't cook it all the way through. So give me a second, I'll get this pulled off, and you can watch me stuff them. Alright, got the meat pulled off of here. Get it ready to stuff. I'm going to get some cheese out, and I'm going to stuff it with some cheese as well when I put it in those peppers. But while I was letting it simmer on the Blackstone, excuse me, I came over here and I turned the old Z grill on. The heating process is a little much here. I'm going to turn that thing down. I am going to cook it at about 300 or 325, give or take. Just basically just grilling it or cooking it as if I were cooking it in the oven in the house, how I normally do it. This would be probably the second or third time that I've ever cooked stuffed peppers on the grill. Never have I done them on the pellet grill though. So I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out. Stick around. Alright, I went ahead and I sectioned these up because I have 3 peppers. I put 3 bowls of meat. This is just the seasoned meat. I'm going to go ahead and start the first one off with mozzarella. The second one will be Parmesan. And the third one, my wife picked this out. It's actually goat cheese. She has never had it. This is the crumbles. It should melt out pretty well. We'll see in the long run if we're going to use the crumbles again or not, or if we're just going to go ahead and get a hunk of it and slice it off to melt it over stuff. So we take a second here. I'm going to mix this stuff in and we'll get it stuffed in these peppers. Alright, grill is preheated. Going to boost it up to 350. Just cranked her up to 350 here. So we've got the goat cheese stuffed pepper, Parmesan stuffed pepper, the mozzarella stuffed pepper. Probably leave it on here for 20-25 minutes at temperature. So you see it's got to go up a little bit yet. I'm gonna get this lid closed so we don't have to wait too long. Really all we're waiting for is that pepper to soften up. The cheese is already starting to melt because that meat is hot. The meat's already pre-cooked almost completely through. It's red meat, so it's no big deal if we missed a little bit. It will finish cooking off in this grill in the pepper. I just want the pepper to be nice and tender when we cut into it. That way we don't have to, it's not so crunchy. It's not a raw pepper. I like the flavor and the consistency of a tender green bell pepper. Alright, the pepper's been on here for about 25 minutes now. The skin is starting to wrinkle on them. They are getting very tender. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull these off and take them in the house and cut into them. See how they turn out. Alright, got them in the house. Went ahead and topped them with a little bit more cheese. Got the goat cheese on there, Parmesan, and the mozzarella. We're going to go ahead and enjoy these, and we'll see you the next time I cook something delicious.